see when you're upon the mountain, peace of mind, you'll never know when things change out in the valley. Don't lose faith, you're never alone. Oh, the God on the mountain is the God in the valley. Things go wrong, he'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. God of the day is still God in the night. Talk of faith when you're up on the mountain. All comes easy, life's at its best. Others down in the valley, trials and temptations. That's when faith is really put to the test. Oh, the God on the mountain is still God in the valley. When things go wrong, he'll make them right. And the God of the good times is still God in the bad times. God of the day is still God in the night. God of the day is still God in the night.
Good evening, everybody. Jeff Arrington here with Scott County, Virginia Gun Owners, coming to you live from Scott County, Virginia, in the community of Hiltons. Coming to you to talk to you tonight with a special episode. We've got a panel discussion for you tonight with a lot of good guests and a lot of good topics to discuss. We've got one more also out here, I believe. There we go. But we are going to be having tonight. We've been trying to get the word out. I see DeLyn's online and letting everybody know that we're going to be having a panel discussion tonight on the Second Amendment. We've got, again, a good number of agenda items to go over tonight. But at this point in time, we're going to start with introductions, and I'm going to go around. We're going to go round robin. We'll start at the top left. Of course, you guys know me. We're going to go top center with Travis, top right with Ed, bottom left with Sanjay, and then bottom right with Philip, if that's okay. And I'm just going to let everybody go around the room and just introduce yourselves.
My name is Travis Anderson from the Wise County Patriots Group, located in Wise County, Virginia. Consists of about 6 personnel within our group, and we were heavily involved with the rally day. We took 2 buses up to Richmond. We've been very active in our community here as well within Wise County. I am from Appalachia, Virginia, but we're still heavily engaged here within our county. So we're keeping up with all the current events, not just only in the state level, but also on the federal level. So thank you for having me.
All right, Ed.
I'm Ed with Fairfax 2A. We are a very recently organized group. We've had 2 general meetings to discuss the direction of the organization, and we are now in the process of developing a mission statement, a course of action, and taking the steps to sort of legitimize, for lack of a better word, our organization, to include incorporating it and so forth. And our mission is basically to be active here in Fairfax County in the pro-gun, pro-firearms, pro-constitution area.
All right, thank you, Ed. And then Sanjay?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm here to join Ed from Fairfax 2A, and I just came in tonight to support him and see what you're all about.
Fantastic, thank you. And last but certainly not least, I believe almost needs no introduction, but Mr. Philip Van Cleave.
Yeah, hi. I'm glad you're doing this. I'm the president of the Virginia Citizens Defense League. We are just going, we're so busy right now. Everything is going on. It's not ending with the COVID-19 thing. We've got indoor ranges that are now, closed, and well, I'll be talking more about that a little bit later. But we're addressing that issue. But it's an ongoing issue, and I'm glad that we're getting we're grassroots, and we love the grassroots concept. And I'm glad you're doing this because that's who we're reaching out to here.
Absolutely, thank you. And in the introductions there, I didn't mention for our viewers, but kind of the purpose, folks, of why we're doing this. For those of you who have been watching our videos up till now, we've talked about several of the different counties that have been doing a lot of different Second Amendment activities. Of course, we've talked quite a bit about the VCDL and promoted those as well quite heavily. But the purpose of trying to get together and have a group conversation, just so everyone understands what we're trying to achieve here, is just when the time comes that there's going to be instances, particularly maybe around voting time, when it's going to be really to everyone's advantage to be able to do some things regionally, be able to bring out a little bit more attention and distribute out and have a broader audience to reach out to. So we hope to be able to utilize this to bring not only every member of Scott County, but for all the counties represented here. We did have several other counties for folks that there were some folks that were not able to make it tonight from Washington County. We're reaching out with Tazewell County. We've got other contacts with Travis and Wise County. We're also talking with folks up in the northern part of the Commonwealth as well. We'd love to see this eventually grow to all the counties across the Commonwealth. But again, the purpose of this is to be a tool for all of our viewers, no matter where they are, to be able to get an idea of what's going on. And as Philip pointed out, this is a grassroots effort. So we hope this is something that can be useful to everybody. Guys, this is your resource. This is not our channel. This is for all of our viewers to be able to see. So with that said, I just want to say, first off, this is our first panel discussion. So I'm really excited to have everybody on here. I'm glad everybody that was able to make it, and I'm looking forward to some really good conversations. So thank you all for those introductions. Without ado, I'm just going to go ahead. We're going to just kind of continue around this. So one of the items we want to talk about is within your counties, within your areas, keeping in mind that people from Scott County and perhaps all across the Commonwealth, and of course all across our great republic may end up watching this. And just for the folks that may be tuning in the first time, if you're not in the Commonwealth of Virginia and you may wonder what's the purpose of this for you, the story I always say there is just a few months ago, I was complacently sitting in my easy chair, never thinking that what was happening in New York and California and other places across our republic would ever come to my front doorstep. But Governor Northam certainly made a change to that, as well as the Democrat control that occurred in the Commonwealth. So if you're watching this and you're not in the Commonwealth and you ask what's in it for you, I would say take a message away from this about remaining vigilant within your state as well. And as we go around and we talk about this, even if it's not happening in your state, folks, I think it'd be a good time to go ahead and get ahead of that curve and start forming some grassroots organizations that are very, very strong in support of our Second Amendment. So with that said, one of the first things I wanted to talk about was just go around and let everybody talk about what are your current Second Amendment activities you're working on, and if there's anybody in particular you want to call out in your county that you're working with. I'll start out in Scott County. Some of the major items that we are working on is we are trying to combat, and right off the top of my head, I apologize, I can't think of the bill. I'm sure one of y'all can remind me. I believe it was, I want to say HB 421, the one around local governments getting legislation to create gun-free zones. So we are currently working with our Board of Supervisors. We went to the first Board of Supervisors meeting. We've got the second one coming up if it doesn't get delayed or if it doesn't get postponed. But we're trying to push a resolution that will state that the county will not enforce that, because although it's promoted as giving counties the right to create their own gun laws, the only thing that it can do is further restrict our Second Amendment rights. So that's probably one of the main things we're working on, in addition to some educational items we're working on. But again, we'll go around the room in the same order. So Travis, I'll let you start out and talk a little bit about what's happening in Wise County.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. In Wise County, when you mentioned about House Bill 421, we just approached our county board of supervisors last month in regards to that, and we actually asked a little bit more in depth with that, actually to see if the county would entertain possibly doing an ordinance instead of a resolution. So we went one step further with our Patriots group on that. So, hopefully we'll get something out of that. Not really sure. We'll follow back up, with everything that's going on, nobody's meeting. So that being said, once everything returns back to normal, we'll, follow up with that. So right now we have asked our county board of supervisors to entertain either a resolution or an ordinance against House Bill 421.
And I should clarify, if I said resolution, I meant to say an ordinance as well, because we wanted something with a little bit more weight than just a standard resolution like we've had in the past. So I'm glad you for correcting that up, Travis. That sounds good. Ed, what about Fairfax County? What are you guys working on up in Fairfax County?
Sorry, I had to unmute my mic there. We're working on a lot of stuff at this point. The biggest thing now is harnessing the groundswell within Fairfax County in opposition to the anti-freedom movement, particularly from a number of our state level legislators. But we are also seeing this within our county board of supervisors and our elected officials in our cities and in towns where we have mayors and town councils and city councils. So that's one of the things we're working on right now. We are in pretty much the embryonic stage as an organization. We've formed an executive committee. We came up with a structure for board of directors. We are moving forward on becoming a legal entity, and we're also doing a lot of legwork, gathering names of all the elected officials here in Fairfax County. We have not just a board of supervisors, but we have 2 independent cities and 3 incorporated towns, all of which, as a result, have city councils, town councils, and we're looking to identify all our state level legislators. And eventually the goal is to go out there and let those people know who we are, so that here in the county, eventually they'll go Fairfax 2A and they'll act like towards us, much like the way they do Mr. Van Cleave down in Richmond, at least certain legislators in Richmond who look at him coming and go, oh my gosh, he's here again. So we're hoping to establish that. One of the big goals we're looking at right now too is messaging, making sure that we do not allow the anti-freedom crowd and anti-gun crowd to message incorrect information. So that's one of the big things we're looking at right now is trying to be on point with that message.
Well, that's terrific, and it's great again to hear what's happening in Fairfax County. And I apologize, we've got one of the other folks here trying to join in. I'm going to try to get him on here when we let Philip speak here in a moment. But it's important for everyone to realize all across the Commonwealth, and of course, every single, we have Philip. You can probably update us on the exact numbers of the Second Amendment sanctuaries. I know the last I heard were 95 counties. Is that correct?
No, there are 95 in the state. 91 were sanctuaries. We now have 147 towns, cities, and counties. I mean, the map is almost solid green, except for four counties and a few little towns and cities sticking out here and there. But it's massively green. And we're working on a few things. I'm personally right now am writing up Lobby Day. Finally, I'm actually getting back to that. I've been processing through 25,000 emails. I've got 12,000 and something left now. I'm back to January 13th, I think. And I'm going to need to go all the way back. I'm finding stuff that I just never had a chance to see. Could not keep up with the inflow was unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. And so we're working on one of the things I've set up, and I haven't put an alert out yet, is months ago I talked right before the election. I was talking about how VCDL wants to have certain people in every county, city, and town that would be an interface to let us know. Well, one would be to tell us anything that's going on in that locality. So if the locality is going to have a board of supervisors meeting and it deals with guns in any way, shape, or form, we need people looking for that. Anything in that county that in any way deals with firearms, we want to know about it. So I'm going to have that person will be our eyes and ears in that locality, so that we'll literally have 150 or 160, whatever the total number is, of people out there, so that nothing happens dealing with guns that we don't know about, be it good or be it bad. Then there was one person would be a liaison, somebody who has an actual connection and would be able to kind of do what Ed wants to do, where they would go, and talk to their city council or board of supervisors member or members that are friendly, to help us get intelligence, to get things put in that we need done, things of that nature. And then lastly, somebody also to interface with law enforcement, say in Fairfax or other any locality. So again, we have a communication channel to all of law enforcement. So this would basically people coordinating that would be in one shape or form helping us with local government, because we saw that this could happen, what did happen, and what Ed's fighting against, where he is and you're fighting against, and Travis, where we want these sanctuaries to come out and say, yeah, we're a sanctuary. We're not going to do more gun control. I don't care if we've got the power to do it now. And that way, the map of Virginia that's almost solid green isn't going to change. We're not going to have this rash of crazy gun laws. It's only going to be places, that aren't sanctuaries currently, and that'll keep Ed busy. Fairfax is one of them, and Loudoun, Arlington, and Albemarle. Those are the major counties. We've got a few cities as well we need to deal with. So that's that's one of the key things that we're working on. Is that will be upcoming. Right now we have a little time to play because, as was pointed out, nobody's meeting due to the COVID-19. So we have a little time to organize.
Well, and I'm hoping as this, we don't know exactly how long this COVID is going to go. And by the way, I apologize if I dropped out just a minute ago there. I apparently had a weak connection for a moment. But we don't know how long this COVID-19 is going to carry out. And I hope that, again, with technologies like this, that maybe this is something people can start utilizing to meet remotely. I know in my industry, we are certainly using that for remote meetings and conversations. So we don't know exactly how long this is going to last. It might, it lasted a couple months in Italy and, of course, in China. So it's yet to see exactly how long this will last here. But thank you for all you do. And I guess it's a good time to go ahead and pitch out there. I know, Philip, you were mentioning, too, that you're getting caught up on everything from Lobby Day. I know I saw I believe it was one of the emails that came out the other day, kind of slating out some of the videos that are going to be coming up, some thoughts, and there's a little schedule that's coming out. Can you speak just a little bit to that?
Yeah, well, it's a 6-part series. We came out with the first part, which talked about the sanctuary movement, because this was leading up to where Lobby Day was. Right now, I'm working on the preparations that suddenly began for a Lobby Day that was originally, we thought back in July, was going to be 1,000 people, 800, 1,000, maybe 1,200, that exploded. And we literally were looking it up to over 120,000 as possible. So that's the write-up currently going on. I have when we get the next section after that will be we'll focus on some of the attempts to kill Lobby Day or to totally discourage people showing up that happened right before Lobby Day. And then will come Lobby Day. That'll be the 4th installment. And there I've got something that's kind of fun. I took my body cam I had on all day, and it was aimed perfectly to get all the faces of everybody I'm talking to and interacting with. And I edited it down, and it's fun. You get to see what Lobby Day looked like from my point of view, dealing with crowds and dealing with people behind the scenes, getting the speakers up and all that. Anyhow, people that have seen it really liked it. So I've only kind of previewed it to a few people. So that's coming. And then after that, we talk about the aftermath of Lobby Day, what happened as far as legislation, what's going to be happening in next year in legislation, and how the perception of gun owners was affected by Lobby Day. And I think we all know that was extremely positive. I mean, you could not have had better press. I smile every time I see that one segment where CNN, the reporter, had to admit that nothing happened. Nothing. It was great. So that's what we're working on. That'll be coming out over a period of probably a couple, 2-3 weeks as I put it together.
Yeah, it was interesting. The only thing that was bad from a Lobby Day perspective on a follow-up was the media response after the fact, because there were so many stories that they took pictures and they twisted what happened in Richmond. I mean, I saw one of the titles that just totally set me back was when it said something like, "Let's call Lobby Day what it was." It said it was a terrorist takeover of a city. And I thought, how much more twisted of a message can you get?
But there's so much out there to discredit that.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, that shows you the desperation. The other side does not have what we have. They knew there was no way, even with Bloomberg's money, that they could match that Lobby Day that was coming up. They were desperate to short circuit that because they knew they would look like nothing. 200 people compared to 50,000 or 120 at one point. So they do all this stuff. But I think people are really getting wise to this. And it's thank God for this kind of media like we're doing now.
Yes.
This allows us to get the truth out. People ask questions and all that. I think this is another thing. The internet has totally saved gun rights, in my opinion.
Well, and this is a good chance to call out many other channels when it comes to, I call it conservative. If you just want to have honest news, there are all kinds of grassroots news organizations. I call them that, but they're really just individuals like us, citizens, that are out here reporting on YouTube. So search YouTube and find those. They're easy to find. But we're going to back up just a minute because we do have one more person that joined here from Russell County. So Larry, I'm going to bring you on. Everyone, we want to welcome to the show Larry Hughes. Larry, I'm going to back up just a little bit and let you introduce yourself from Russell County. So go ahead, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Larry Hughes. I'm from Russell County. I'm representing the Russell County Cleave team, which stands for the County Recovery Emergency Evacuation and Deployment team. We just tried to put together. We're still in the organizational stage. We're supposed to have a meeting this week, this past Thursday, but because of the emergency declaration by the governor, we decided to postpone until we get a better chance to bring everyone in. We didn't want to bring any more legal problems with us right now, but we hope to get this thing up and going shortly and have multiple cross training and about everything you can think about, like our founding fathers, the frontiers people did, from killing hogs to killing beefs, growing community gardens, you name it, communications, tactical training, from concealed weapons to Department of Justice training, to include hunter safety, marksmanship. We really want to bring all aspects of the training together.
Well, thank you, Larry. And I pulled you up here full screen, and I'm glad to be able to see that map behind you here just a few minutes ago before you were able to join in. Philip was talking about the number of counties, 91 out of 95 counties, and over 100 entities. So that map there in the background, I'm not sure how recent of a map that is, but that is one of the VCDL maps, and I see the logo on there. So it's great to see that in your background. So thank you for having that, sir.
Yes, that map came from Richmond. I was up there at the Richmond on the day up there and about a couple months ago. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to have you on. I'll also add, I didn't mention it earlier, but, we talked about one of the purposes of this is to have regional representation and coordinate across the state whenever those times are necessary, particularly maybe with voting events. Obviously, Philip, you have a lot of resources to reach out and coordinate things like Lobby Day. And we can use resources like this for some folks that, they may not be on the internet. We know we've heard from a lot of our viewers that their neighbors, they don't have internet connection, and that this is how they hear from it. They hear from their neighbors. So, venues like this are going to be useful. But Larry, with what you were saying there, with what you're working on there in Russell County and the multiple faceted approach that you're taking there, the Second Amendment's what we're all about. But as you said, there are many things that the liberties that were intended by our founding fathers that, just through a time and process and kind of a natural progression, I suppose, of society and technology, we've kind of gotten away from. And times like right now, are when some of those things could be very, very useful. You know, if a neighbor maybe has the ability to butcher a hog, or maybe they've hunted and they've got some wild game they can share with neighbors, because maybe they're not able to get out and get food, or if they are, you know, we've seen the shelves go empty. So, but you know, you can expand them on out to when it comes to medical training and you know, just safety education with firearms. There's any number of things, and so all across the state with all these groups, I guess what I'm trying to say here is we're all still operating independently, and that's one of the strengths I think of Benjamin Franklin's you know, his design of the snake. And the whole point of it is you can cut the head of the snake off, and if it's just a snake, it kills the whole thing. But you know, when everybody operates independently and independently, that's really what makes us strong, right? There's no individual head to just be cut off. So again, this resource is not intended to bring everybody in together as one large group. You know, we're all Second Amendment supporters, so I think that would be the large group that we all fall into. But you know, we're all doing our own individual things with our own resources within our counties to the strengths that we can. So I think it's a great message to send up there, and I'm glad to have you highlight that a little bit.
I would say that as people are successful doing things, again, they can share it with us, and we can help spread that across to other counties. You know, I went to a militia muster in Franklin County, never been to one. And I brought Dennis O'Connor, who's one of our executive members and retired from the military, because I wasn't in the military. So I figured I needed somebody, because militia is going to be all about organizing like you would the military. I mean, the military has been doing what they've been doing for centuries, and there's reasons things are done. So he is there on ways to improve the musters and stuff. VCDL right now is not involved directly in musters, but we're looking at various things right now that we've never looked at before, and it's very similar to what's going. I think what's going on in Russell County is wonderful. That's what we need. That's Americans standing up, and there's all kinds of talents. That was one of the things Dennis suggested with these musters. Find out the talent of everybody. You're going to have people that are ham radio operators that do radio communications in an emergency. They can get through when there are no cell phones. You're going to have doctors. You're going to have computer people. You're going to have marksmen, you know, as we mentioned earlier, all of that stuff, police, ex-military, all of that. We should be taking full advantage of those kind of resources. America's rich with them, especially Virginia.
Absolutely, that's a great point. And I noticed your background there, Philip. You mentioned, you know, and I see the comment here about the following VCDL on our email list. Folks, for all of our viewers, if you're not already signed up for the email list at vcdl.org, I strongly encourage you to go there and sign up. They have a great newsletter. It comes out weekly. Is that correct, Philip?
Well, the electronic part we do whenever we have to do it. Those come out. They can come out every day or two. During the session, they were coming out every day because things were going on constantly.
Yes.
But you know, you will get something no less than once a week. It's whenever we feel there's something you need to know about. And we're going to have some more stuff coming out shortly. We do have a newsletter that goes out in print, and that goes out quarterly for those that don't have computers, or we put different stuff in the newsletter than what we put on the internet. So it's always something new in there to look at.
Absolutely. That's a great point. So again, folks, if you've not went to vcdl.org and signed up there, I would strongly encourage you to do that. That's a great source of information. Again, we mentioned these channels. We certainly welcome everyone to come here and join our channels. Just real quickly, I know we have a couple of different ones. I know Larry, the Russell Creed team, has a Facebook page. Scott County VA Gun Owners has a Facebook page. Travis, you guys have a Facebook page. Is that correct? Travis, can you hear me? We may have lost some audio with Travis, but Travis out of Wise County. Go ahead, Philip.
I was going to say, you're coming through fine here.
Okay. Ed, do you guys have a Facebook page or a website or anything set up?
Yeah, we are working on it and working on that now. We have a domain, fairfax2a.org, which one of our IT guys is working on and looking to set up a site for that so that you'll have a place to go for messaging and so forth on what's going on in Fairfax County.
Okay. And I know Travis and them, Delynn, I see you're online. I see, so Delynn, by the way, in the comments, folks, that's one of our other administrators for Scott County VA Gun Owners. Delyn, if you wouldn't care, if you could find those links to, I know Travis does have a Wise County Facebook group. It's also a private group, same as Scott County VA gun owners. And Larry, I believe yours is also a private group. So the thing I always say there to folks is if you're not already on Facebook, guys, just my honest personal opinion, don't join Facebook because there's just so much stuff and nonsense that happens on Facebook. So if you're not already there, I'm not going to encourage you to join Facebook, but YouTube channels like this, VCDL.org, Ed, the resource you mentioned there, we're going to have a lot of different resources to be able to reach out. So Travis, I think we're getting some audio from you now. You do have, what's the name of your YouTube page again? Or excuse me, the Facebook page? All right. Travis, can you hear us? We may be having some audio issues still with Travis. While I'm speaking about that, I do want to just share real quick. So of all the logos, this particular logo here, this is the VA2A. This is, there's the name of the group, Wise County Patriot Group. So for Travis's group, this is the logo, and I believe this was a sticker that they just recently came out with, and they're promoting throughout the county to promote their efforts and the Second Amendment, which of course supports all of us. So it's great to see that logo and see that out there as well. While I'm sharing that, just real quickly, I'm going to give a. Yeah, Travis, you're coming in just a little bit. You broke up just a little bit. Can you hear us? Travis, we're going to roll forward here. This is the Russell Creed page. So this is also on Facebook. If you look up the Creed volunteer, that will get you to the Russell County volunteer page. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Of course, Philip, I love your banner in the background, the VCDL.org. And Ed, can you throw out your link one more time, the domain that you've reserved there?
It's Fairfax2A.org, and it's in development right now, so I'm not sure you'll find anything. But yeah, we do have it, and it's one of the things we're working on.
Okay, fantastic. So, Travis, you got an audio check there now? Is it working for you now? It's still not. I don't believe it's still not working. So, technology. Well, and I'll say this much too. With this pandemic outbreak, the internet's getting hammered hard. As in fact, the venue that I use for these multi-streams, it's the first time when I logged in tonight, they actually had they've been experiencing some streaming issues, and it's because of just the huge amount of internet usage that's going on. Obviously, when everybody's in self-quarantine. So let's take just a minute real quick and see if there's anything. Does anybody want to add, a primary message? What's the primary message of your group? I'll just reiterate for Scott County. One of the primary things that we are doing is trying to bring information to our citizens, our fellow citizens in Scott County. That's our number one group that we are always trying to reach out to. Of course, we certainly welcome the opportunity to reach out to others all across the Commonwealth, and we do have viewers all across the America. So it's great to know that we have folks viewing from all over the place. But it's all about the Second Amendment. We do occasionally jump into other things, but the Second Amendment is our primary agenda that we're trying to work on and support. So, Ed, is there any primary message you'd like to send out to everybody on what you guys are about primarily?
Well, what we're doing right now is our mission statement is we are a grassroots, nonpartisan organization formed in Fairfax County and dedicated to taking direct actions to protect and preserve the constitutions of the United States and the Commonwealth of Virginia by advocating for the rights guaranteed by the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution and by Article 1, Section 13 of the Virginia Constitution. So that is where we are headed. And those of you who are not familiar with Article 1, Section 13, that is the Virginia equivalent of the Second Amendment.
Okay, and Ed, just a little bit of feedback. I don't know if everybody else hears, but your audio got a little bit quieter on that. Larry, Philip, did you hear his audio get a little quieter?
I didn't notice anything.
Okay, that may be just on my end. Okay. So we're kind of rearranging. Travis, I see you're back in now. Can you hear us now?
I got you now. I lost signal, but I'm back. I'm sorry.
All right, glad to have you back. We were just going around talking about primary message. So Philip, now in the new order, and I apologize, guys. We're just going to kind of roll with this. But Philip, you're next up. Speak a little bit about VCDL and what your primary goal and objectives are.
Well, VCDL was formed in 1994, back when permits were may issue. And some people just couldn't get a permit. Some judges wouldn't give permits to women, some wouldn't give them to men, some wouldn't give them to minorities. It went on. And we said, this is baloney. So we formed, and right out of the bat, 1995, we got the law changed to shall issue, where they have to give it to you. You no longer had to beg or give reasons. So we've continued. We've done lots of the strong legislation we've had over the years has been either sponsored or supported by the organization. We're a watchdog. We're always on the lookout for localities violating the law, say trying to ban guns in parks where they can't, things like that. And now we really need to be a watchdog when the new law goes through, where they can make local gun control. So we do that. We also will take legal action. We took legal action during Lobby Day to try and get rid of the governor's gun ban around the Capitol grounds. And that, by the way, that case is still alive. We didn't stop it, but that case still needs to be litigated. So we do that kind of stuff, and we educate. Our members, I think, are some of the most well-educated on firearms and gun laws, things of that nature. When you watch them get interviewed, it's usually pretty impressive that people know they know their way around all this stuff.
And that's fantastic resources. I believe VCDL brings a lot of resources like that to the table, which is very helpful to overall the entire Second Amendment movement.
The big message is stay active. Everybody out there that's hearing this, don't let this flame die out, because the other side is not going away. If you think there are, you're greatly mistaken. Just because you don't see a fin in the water doesn't mean there's not a shark down there about to bite you on the leg. So stay active, stay awake, and this is a war. This is not a little battle. This is a war. It's not going to change overnight. I wish it would. It's not. So be prepared for the long term.
Philip, just to echo that a little bit, it was interesting because we saw I'll speak personally for a lot of the folks that I spoke with. After Lobby Day, there were a lot of folks that seemed like they sat back and said, okay, there was our shot. We gave it a shot. Let's see how this goes. And I've tried to tell them, I said, guys, that was like the pregame show, right? We haven't even begun. And I think of, November this year, when it comes time to get some seats back on the side of the promoting the Second Amendment, I've said, we might consider that a halftime show for now, but really in the bigger picture, that's still not even, we're just a fraction of the way into this battle. I see this as probably a 5 to 10 year journey, maybe even more, to just, be vigilant eternally from now on to make sure that these rights, these God-given rights, stay in place from now on. So I'll really echo what you said there.
Jeff, it's never going to end. The other side is never going away. I know, look, the people that are listening to this, I guarantee, as gun owners, these are going to be some of the most independent people and some of the nicest people you'll ever want to meet. But they're not going to be cowering in a corner because the supermarket's closed. They're not going to fall apart because government isn't protecting them. That's not who we are. But you have to understand there are people that don't think the way we do. They love control. They love power. I don't want to control anybody's life. I have enough fun taking care of myself, much less worrying about everybody else.
Yes, sir.
I have no interest in what you guys do in your private time. As long as you're not hurting me or somebody else, I could care less. Knock yourselves out. But there are people that will not and do not live that way. They want to look into your life, and they want to control it. And whether you believe it or not, too bad, it's the fact. And they aren't going away. They're attracted to government. Look, government's got some wonderful people, and I've dealt with a lot of these guys. Some of the best people you want to meet in government. But it also attracts the wrong kind. People that want power. They want to dominate others. The best place to do that is government. That's where you get the power to do that kind of stuff. So you get the good with the bad, but they're not going away. And, people have died face down in the mud so that we could be sitting here having the Second Amendment, First Amendment, conversation going on here. To stay active in this is nothing compared to their sacrifice. Nothing. It's the least we could do to protect the rights of not only our own rights, but the rights of the next generation. We have to do this. It's part of being an American. Freedom isn't free, and this is one of the prices we have to pay. You get lazy, kiss your freedom goodbye. That's just all there is to it.
I think that's a perfect way of saying it, Philip. So you said it better than I could. Absolutely. Travis, we were just going around and talking about primary messages. Is there any primary message from Wise County you'd like to share? Travis, we've got no audio coming through on you, Travis. Try it one more time. No, Travis, we still don't hear you there. Sorry, but at least I don't hear you. You're unmuted. No, I see you talking, but we still don't hear you. You may have to drop back out and try joining back in. In the meantime, Travis, we'll get back to you in a minute. Larry, do you have anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do, I hope our county can pull together as a common organization, a group of several people. I want to break the county. I like to see the county broken up into 6 districts. That's their voted districts, and with each district have sub districts, subcommittees, and have individual stewards on many aspects. We may be training first aid. Again, we want to support the Second Amendment for sure, so we'll be training anything involved with or gun rights. We like to have some legal training in here that we can understand our legal rights and constitutional rights. We want to see a multifaceted approach that we can support a sustainable lifestyle. We want to leave a good community, a good organization for our children, because we may survive, but our children, if we don't move now, we step back for too many years, letting the left make their choices, and they keep taking away our constitutional rights. It's chipping away. We have to stand up and make a stand that we're going to regain this, and so it's going to take many things to do it. We do need to be sustainable. That will allow us to move in the future and leave a life for our children.
And if you don't care, one thing I want to share from Larry here, just real briefly, and Larry, I'll let you speak to this real quickly if you want to, but I know this is kind of what you're working on, correct?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm working on, because we're going to have, again, one county warden that kind of oversees everything. Within that, we should have, again, a secretary treasurer, a chaplain, legal counsel. You can take a look this year. Then we're going to break that down. That'll be each sub. From that point, each district would have a controller that organizes a district, and then subdivide the district into teams. We'll have stewards on each team, 1, 2, 3, or 4 teams. I'm looking at having. I'd like to have anywhere from 10 to 15 people per team. Then we could, again, train anything you can think about. I've got probably 30 or 40 things in mind right now, anywhere from, again, firearm safety to community gardening, community canning, first aid, CPR. I like to start out with the CREAT program for emergency evacuation. If we had floods just recently, we'd have some people trained with the state and national CREAT. I want to start out with first aid with Stop the Bleed. That would be the first thing we do. That's the Homeland Security says we need to do some training. So we have many EMTs, advanced life supports, paramedics. So we got nurses. We have people this way. So we need to bring all facets together, working as a common group in cross training, so we can all pick up basic skills. Anything from mountain foraging to home canning. You think about what our fathers or forefathers lived, how they lived. They didn't have the supermarkets. They could go here, buy what they needed. They could grow it. They could gather it. We want to be able to do the same thing. It's nice to have the supermarket, but if it's not here, like right now we're experiencing, we need alternative ways to address this problem. Anywhere from finding water to, again, finding heating sources. You name it. I want to develop the team, the skill sets, pull people in, has experience that we can cross train each other.
Well, and I think that's great. And just a few things to highlight with bringing up your organizational chart there for our viewers is to understand the complexity of what's involved with putting together what some of our groups are working with, right? So, Philip, I would imagine there's probably a similar organizational chart, perhaps for VCDL. And it's good to understand that there's a lot of operational expertise that has to go into organizing something like this, correct?
Yeah, well, he's taking on something much more complex than VCDL because, again, our focus is guns. He's doing the broader, which is absolutely fine. I have no problem with it. It's going to be fun because that is such a broad thing. It's so much easier to focus on a very narrow thing. And not to say you can't. He's putting together a tree of people to spread the load and specialize and report back. It can be done that way. It's a big effort he's taking on, and I salute him. Hopefully that will all come to fruition. It could be a great model for across the state.
Absolutely. So, Travis, are you there now? We got any audio from you? Okay, he's still getting joined in there. So, real quickly, just for our viewers, if you do have any questions you'd like to submit, please feel free to submit those questions. So, anybody that's watching, please feel free to drop those in there. We have one that's came in. Is there any I'm assuming that's supposed to be, is there any information on the Commonwealth's Safety Committee that is reviewing the weapons ban? So this is from Michael Sponogel. I'm probably going to butcher that name, but I'm not familiar with that. Is anybody else familiar with that? Can they speak to
I know
that?
what he's talking about. He's talking about the crime commission, and that's where like HB 961, the assault weapon ban that grandfathered things in and banned magazines, all that stuff, that went to the crime commission. They meet usually during the summer or later in the fall, and they'll report back to the General Assembly. The General Assembly can take what they say as ideas for the bill. They can disregard everything they said and do whatever they want, or they can implement everything they suggest. It's totally up to the General Assembly. But for now, and somebody else mentioned 961 earlier. I saw that come across. Yeah, a lot of people have said, "Oh, good, the assault weapon bill is gone now for the year. Now I can relax. Nothing else is happening." That is the wrong attitude. Again, that's you see one shark fin swim away a little bit, and you think you're safe, but you're not looking behind you. No, they'll be back. And I know everybody desperately wants to just go about their lives, enjoy their families, not have to deal with all these political crazies. I know it, but that's not the game of living in America. That is, again, I say it again, it's part of the price of freedom. I hate it too. Believe me, I hate it. But we've got to do this. We cannot fall into some fake feeling of security when there is no security. That's what the other side wants you to do. Don't fall for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very important message. And you're right. With 961, people felt like once they had that success that they've done their job and they were done. But, we're even seeing now at the federal level, 5717, I believe, is the bill that came up at the federal level, proposed by the same gentleman that thought that Guam could flip upside down if enough people stood on it. But that's another bill that it's been referred to subcommittee. It got a lot of attention lately. I think it was introduced in January, but I know there was a lot of attention. It was on March 10th that it went to subcommittee. And I think that, along with everything happening with the pandemic and people, possible talk about martial law, et cetera, people are a little bit nervous about that. But I'll say this much about that. It's good to be nervous about that. It's good to know what people are putting through. We've got to be aware. And so, again, like you said, one shark may swim away, but there's going to be 10 more that are going to come at you. This is an everlasting fight that we cannot stop on.
I wish we could. Believe me, I wish we could. But we can't. So we got to man up and face that fact and show them what unity can do. And let me tell you, we're a force to be reckoned with. There's at least 2 million gun owners in the state, at least that many. If they voted as a block, this whole state would turn bright red. But you know what? The other side wants it to where you're going, there's no point in voting. My vote doesn't count, blah, blah, blah. They love you to say that. They love it. It's beautiful from their point of view because you've given up. You've just thrown it all away. It's just, it's too much trouble. There's no point. I get so frustrated when I hear people doing that. It's like, you want to just tell them, man up, get to the polls, get active, back some candidates, send them some money, find the good people. Get active in primaries. That's where the candidates are picked. If you're complaining that there's nobody good to vote for come election day, you're part of the problem if you weren't involved in the primaries where they pick the candidates. Very few people go to that. If you go, you'd be surprised how much power you would have in choosing somebody good. Well, let's get involved in this. This is what we need to do.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Pat.
If I can interject, we talk about how the fight is still here. I have friends, because of my time in the military and so forth, I have friends across the country. I'm tied into a number of blogs and this, that, and the other thing. Other states are watching what we are doing, and they're applauding, and they're looking at what we are doing, and they are modeling their efforts in their states to what we are doing in Virginia. And many of them, folks in things like places like Tennessee and Oklahoma, states you would think would never face a anti-gun issue, are seeing an upswell, and they're starting to look at it and going, man, if we don't do what Virginia's doing, we're going to be in the boat they're in. So whether we like it or not, we need to persevere. And I've said more than once, I'm tired I've been fighting this battle. I've been a member of the National Rifle Association since 1974. I am a life member. I've been a member of VCDL for going on 15 years now. I'm a life member of VSSA. I've been fighting this battle, standing up for this battle, and you would think after 40 years it would be getting easier. It is not. It is not getting easier. And I think in the era of mass communications and the internet, the other side is capable of lying and molding the argument much more than they used to be able to, because they are trying to mold the argument in such a way that frankly is just lies.
And earlier, Jeff, following up on what was being said by Ed, earlier you mentioned, hey, those of you in other states watching this, this could be coming your way someday. I'm telling you right now, and those people, if they don't think it's hit their state already, they're not looking, or they're not looking in the right place. I don't know if there's anywhere that's not looking down the barrel of Bloomberg's, billions of dollars. He and others want to take over the country, and there's going to be nowhere to run. I know I heard people saying, oh, we need to do Vexit. Let's become part of West Virginia, as if that's going to end it all. It will not end it all. All they'll do is we'll turn over the rest of the country, and then they're going to still come after us. This is not going to end unless we stand up and put an end to it, vote all these people out of there, and get this country back on the right stage. So.
Yeah, Philip, it's interesting because there were a lot of folks, particularly here in Southwest Virginia. As you know, if you follow the state of Virginia, there's a little hump that kind of collects that southern part. And there were several folks in the counties around here that were talking about that, exit to West Virginia. A lot were asking me, in my opinion, and I said, listen, if we run, like you just said, we give up the rest of the state, we abandon our fellow citizens there, and don't think it's not going to come to us eventually. So you're exactly right. In fact, we actually also, there was another channel I was doing a similar panel discussion of this. There was someone that came up, they were, I believe, from New Mexico, and they made a comment. They said, we're not like Virginia. We use our guns every day, which was a little bit comical to me because I probably carry a gun with me every single day. I thought, well, I don't think, anywhere, I think probably in every state you can find someone that probably carries about every day. But it was just, they said it would never happen here. And it wasn't long after that before some laws got introduced into the New Mexico legislation around, I believe there was one particular around red flag laws that I recall. So you're exactly right. It's going to come when you have people like Bloomberg that have the deep pockets like they have. It's only a matter of time before they start trying to kick down your door, right? And if we're complacent, they're going to do the best they can to kick down that door.
Look at West Virginia, by the way. Look at one of their senators. Not exactly Mr. Pro-gun. I can't think of his name right now, but he's not all that.
Manchin.
Yeah, Manchin.
Yeah, Manchin. Yeah. Manchin has. I'm surprised he got reelected, frankly, with the way he's pretty much stabbed West Virginia gun owners in the back several years ago, and he's there in West Virginia.
I want to highlight one more comment that was made. I don't know. I believe this may be Ed with the VCDL that's making some of these comments. Philip, I believe so, but there was a comment that came through that says we also need to engage younger gun owners, females, and minorities. And the part I want to call out there is our younger gun owners. So a couple of quick points to make there. It was interesting. Here in Scott County, there was actually a gentleman that had came to some of our 2A meetings, and it was near the closing of one of the meetings, and he came to me, and we were having a conversation. And I'll be honest with you, I was kind of in a hurry. I had to get going, but I was talking to him sort of in passing, and he was talking about how he's a strong Second Amendment supporter, and he promotes firearms. And then as I was kind of walking away, he says, but I believe we should have some common sense gun laws. And I totally stopped, and I backed up, and I said, okay, let's. You're saying you're PUA. Tell me what you're talking about. He supported laws for instance, that said anybody 18 and under should not be able to have access to a loaded firearm. He supported essentially some views that were kind of like red flag laws. And the reason I bring that up is I had a conversation with him, and I told him, I said, you really need to do some internal reflection about what the Second Amendment means. And I told him, I said, you say you're 2A, but I think you've been brainwashed to think that you're 2A. And it kind of goes to what, Philip, you were again saying earlier. They would love someone with his mindset. I'm a Second A person, and I think we should have red flag laws. Well, those are they're antithetical to one each other, right?
Yeah,
We have this younger generation. Go ahead, Philip. Sorry.
And the politician who says, "Well, I'm a gun owner." He's probably got some little shotgun he doesn't ever touch. It's been in the closet, but he's a gun owner, and now he can talk about gun control because he's a gun owner. And you're right. Some people think they like their guns, but they're not thinking outside the box. They're thinking very selfishly. Well, I've got my gun, and I've got my stuff, and well, other people, oh no, 18-year-old and less, they don't need guns, and they don't need this kind of gun because I don't need and that's the kind of thinking that we need to move people away from. And I was so proud of Virginia when the Democrats tried to dissuade us by saying, well, we're going to let you keep your AR-15, but you're going to have to register it. But you can't buy new ones, but you can keep what you got. I was so proud of Virginians that stood up. Our rallies got to be the biggest then when we were doing this Second Amendment sanctuaries. They got huge after that. I was so proud because everybody was saying to themselves, I'm not going to be selfish in this. This is about all of us. I was proud of everybody, incredibly proud.
Well, and I'll take it a step further whenever you were talking about the politicians, because one thing that just really bothers me when you even see some of these politicians, they'll come on a commercial and they'll be holding their firearm and they're not doing, they have their finger on the trigger, for instance, right? So they're not only in their ignorance, through their ignorance, they're promoting, unsafe handling of firearms. That's of course for me a red flag whenever I see a politician that says they're 2A and I see them holding a firearm like that. I'm like, that tells me right there that person does not know much about firearm safety. And so just real quickly, I know there was some more comments that want to be mentioned here, but on the education part, one thing that we've also talked about is, the left, and I want to make this point for all of any new viewers, oftentimes, right now we are battling against the Democrats. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I kind of feel a little sorry for the Democrats because they've been invaded by these extreme leftists. Okay. So, the Democrat Party we have now is not the Democrat. It's not your, as some people would say, your granddaddy's Democrat Party from the 80s, 90s, 70s, whatever else. It's a different Democrat Party that has a very, very heavy socialist and control and power mindset that we've not seen in the past. So I usually refer to them as leftists. So for everybody just to know, when I say leftist, it certainly categorizes some Democrats, but it's more those ones that are wanting to take our rights away. But the point I want to make is they've been at this for a long time, right? This is not something that just happened in the last few years. For instance, one of the things that I try to talk to people whenever I talk about the importance of nomenclature and wording of things, people say weapons. I got a new weapon, and I explain to them, this notepad, this can be a weapon. I can beat somebody with this. Right? A weapon is something that's used to hurt somebody. And that connotation with firearms is, I think, personally, a very subliminal way to put a negative connotation on something that has a very strong, rich heritage in American history, in liberties, in freedom. And so, I've tried to tell people when I hear them say that, I'm like, don't call it your weapon. It's a firearm. Hanging here behind me, I pointed this a lot for our viewers to hear. That's the original, so-called assault weapon, right? That's the original one. Assault is an action. That's just a firearm that you load from the end of the barrel. That's all it is. But that was the original assault weapon. So, we've got this education factor that we've got to, I hate to almost use this term, but almost re-educate people to understand that guns are not what you see in Hollywood. It's not the Terminator. It's not Rambo. What we saw at Lobby Day are what your typical firearms owners are. They're oftentimes very educated. They're very safe with their firearms. They're very methodical. They're very nice. They're easy to talk to. They're just like anybody else you'd pass in the grocery store, in the parking lot, in the mall. And in fact, you probably pass someone every single day that might even have a concealed firearm, and they smile at you when you pass. And truth be told, you're safer for having people like that around.
If I'm there, it's not a gun-free zone. I can tell you that now.
Absolutely. I'm right with you. Absolutely. So I just wanted to highlight that comment. But Larry, I know I know you were going to lamp, or it looked like you were going to say something a second ago, Larry. Did you have something to say there?
Yeah, I just wanted to agree with Ed, what Ed said. For years, I sat back, trusting our government officials to take care of us. I didn't get involved. And this is what brought us to us. So in the last couple of years, I woke up, and I'm encouraging all neighbors to realize things are changing. We have to join. We have to vote. We have to become voters. We need to join I'm not going to call it militia, but militia is fine. A lot of people are turned off with the word militia. But militia, or whatever you want to call it, we need to develop cross-team, cross-training, and bring back our nation to the citizens. And we fail to do that. If we don't, we're going to lose everything we've got. We have to move forward.
Absolutely. And Travis, you back on. Let's get that audio check here real quick.
All right, you got me now?
We've got you now. Good to hear you back, Travis.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's all right. So, Larry, to your point, I just want to echo exactly what you said. You know, the strength in America does not come from our politicians. It does not come from our elected representatives. Surprisingly, that a lot of this surprises a lot of people, and this is part of that re-education. And I hate to call it re-education, but it's really just educating people on reality. It doesn't come from our Constitution either, right? Our rights do not come from the Constitution. A lot of people hear that, they're like, wait a second, it's our Second Amendment rights. No, the Second Amendment tells the government that they cannot infringe upon our God-given rights. And this is absolutely as much a rights issue, a human rights issue, as about any other human rights issue that's ever came up in American history. And, you know, for people to understand that you could take the Constitution, you could rip it up, you could throw it away, we still have our rights, right? They don't go away just because a document goes away or a politician says they do, or someone in D.C. or Richmond or any other state capital across the republic says that. It does not go away. So, Larry, to your point, to me, I think the strength in America, again, doesn't come from those people, those politicians or documents. It comes from the individual citizens. We collectively as a whole are what's strong, right? I mean, e pluribus unum, from many come one. That is the strength. And the more that those individual parts are strong, then the stronger the collective whole will be. And so I can preach about that, Larry, but yeah, your point was well taken. So, Travis, it's glad to have you back on. Let's see, I know we were talking there earlier. I believe you dropped out, I believe, on our primary message. Real quickly, we're already at an hour. Is everybody okay, by the way? Is everybody good?
I'm in no hurry to go anywhere.
Okay, we'll try to wrap it up. We've got some good questions still coming in. I'm trying to get them up there, but Travis, we talked earlier. Is there a primary message from your area out of Wise that you'd like to send out to everybody?
Well, what Philip was talking about earlier, you know, we was talking about the war is not over, and it's not over. We've got a long road ahead of us, and you know, one of the things I want to reiterate to everybody that's listening: we cannot stop. We cannot get lazy. We cannot sit back and just say, well, we'll just wait till November. You know, like you mentioned a minute ago, you talk about the federal bill, the House Bill 5717, right? You talked about that just a second ago. I mean, look what they're trying to do. They're not going to stop. People are going to have to get up off their seats, out of their homes. I know everybody's got busy lives, but we're going to have to stay focused and continue fighting because, like Philip said, if we don't, you know, they're going to keep pushing, folks. They're not going anywhere. On House Bill 961, Mr. Levine made the comment, I will be back.
Yeah.
So, you know, we cannot stop. So here in Wise County, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep pushing issues and keep fighting. So we're not giving up.
Well, and I'll just add to that, you know, we've talked about it before on this show, but for any of our new viewers or from the folks from the different counties, I'll just say here, what I've told people is we've got to learn, you know, if you've talked to great athletes in the past, or if you've talked to great authors, or anybody that's done, quite honestly, just great things. People find personal inspiration in stories. There might have been an experience in their life that they find inspiration from, so be it, whatever it may be. And I've said that as Second Amendment supporters, you know, we need to dig deep in our own hearts and find for us, what is it that can get that fire relit when time comes? You know, I mean, I can think of many things for me personally, you know, the Holocaust. When I think about people getting told, get on that train. You know, you think about what that would be like in a dominating, you know, tyrannical type atmosphere like that, and what that would feel like, and what those people had to feel like. You can think about our soldiers, our sailors, all across the globe that are serving, and they're fighting and dying every single day for us to have these liberties. You know, I look at my children. And I think, what will their life be like if they didn't have those liberties? And again, then I go back to thinking about, you know, Auschwitz or some of the other, you know, Holocaust instances, or Pol Pot or Stalin or any of the other tyrannical governments that have turned against their people. And we don't want that for our children. It's easy to get complacent and say that will never happen here. But I've told people, don't think for a second that in 1930 Germany, the Germans weren't saying the exact same thing. They were saying, it'll never happen here. Don't think that in Russia before Stalin they were saying it would never happen here. In China, in Japan, wherever Holocaust or wherever atrocities like that have happened across throughout history, I can promise you, up until the moment they occurred, people were sitting there going, "It'll never happen." And we've got to remember that, because it's in that moment that you're the most weak when you become complacent. So we've got to stay vigilant about that. So, Phil, go ahead.
The way we normally lose our freedoms is a little at a time. It's the old cooking the frog thing that we all hear about, where if you're going to cook a frog and you don't want him to jump out of the pot, you slowly turn the heat up a little at a time. He doesn't notice the minor change. And then by the time he notices, he's already boiling and dead. What the Democrats did in this case is they screwed up. They took that stove and they turned it on high, boom, and they went with all this massive package. I would have much more feared that they would have done just a little bit of this over a period of time. In a way, they did us a favor. I've said this before to the organization. I consider what we're going through to be called purgatory. I hate that we're here. I hate looking at the gates of hell. But I feel like we had to get here to wake up enough gun owners to actually make change happen. We have to go through this because they weren't going to wake up. The frog was going to get slowly cooked, and by the time they realized what had happened, they were all going to be slaves under some government. Our freedoms would be gone. So the Democrats, in a way, have done us a favor, but we have got to do something with this now. If we let this go, we're truly that dead frog in the boiling water.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know we're getting near the end of the show, but there is one more person that's joined in here. So we from Wise County, we have Josh Dickerson that's also online. So Josh, just real quick, I'm going to let you give a pitch to your group on Facebook and talk a little bit. I know you work with Travis, but I'll give you just a few moments there real quickly.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. It's great to be here. Everybody, thank you so much for all the work you're doing. I started a page back in November when I started seeing all this ludicrous legislation going through with our governor. Unfortunately, our governor now. So basically, I own a page, and Travis helps me admin. He does a great job. He's much more knowledgeable than I am. He stays on top of his game. So basically, it's a big hub. We have quite a few members. I think it's upwards of 12,000 almost now. So it's kind of a social hub for everybody. I kind of think of it as a Gate City in a way. It kind of connects to all the other counties in the area. So it really helps, especially with things like this. So that way we're able to spread the word a lot more efficiently and effectively.
Absolutely. And Josh, we're glad to have you on board. Glad you're able to join in here. So guys, we were going to try to keep this to an hour. We're a little bit over, so I'm going to skip over. We had a few other agenda items, but I think this has been a really, really great conversation. But I want to take a few moments here and see if there's anybody that has any closing comments as we start to wrap this thing down, and we'll see if any other questions trickle in here. But Ed, we'll let you start out if you don't care. Do you have any kind of closing comments?
Keep up the fight, and put the anti-gun people on their heels when they talk about, we have to ban weapons. And we go, well, what do you mean by weapon? Guns. And I go, wait, let me explain something to you. I'm the weapon, not the gun. The gun is a tool. Okay? Or the ones that look at you, well, I own guns, but you don't need a 30-round magazine. Or I have friends who own guns. My family owns guns. My response to them has been, my late father was an anesthesiologist. Would you like me to put you to sleep? so they can do surgery on you? I mean, I watched my dad do it. So that's the kind of, I think we need to be creative in that sort of thing. But like Philip says, we cannot become, and Ed Levine's been chiming in, we can't be complacent. We have to keep messaging back, and potentially we have to get in their faces. And I think that's, I want Eleanor Clift to hate more than just Philip.
Well, you made some great points there, Ed. And, it's interesting. There was actually a quote I heard a while back, and I thought it was a really, really good quote. And I'm going to kind of butcher it here a little bit, but basically, to your point, a firearm is just it's just a tool. Technology itself is a firearm. Firearm is a technology, and technology is not inherently good or evil. It is, however, a force multiplier of whoever uses that technology. And the point being, if you're for evil, then yes, it will force multiply evil. That's why, in fact, that I think we need more proud Second Amendment, good citizens that practice their Second Amendment, and that's a force multiplier for good. So, Philip, before you have your closing comments, I'm going to drop this one on you. So we have a question here from William Willis. So I believe, Philip, I think it's safe to say, coming from the VCDL, you represent the largest organization on the panel. What action items, as you talk about some other closing comments, what action items might you have?
Well, right now, I don't have any immediate action items other than we're having people contact the governor to take indoor ranges off the amusement list, realizing that those are not for amusement. That's where we get our training. That's where new gun owners, and there's lots of them now, thanks to this COVID-19, that need to know how to shoot a gun and have a safe place to safely do it. By the way, VCDL has got something in motion on that. I can't talk about it yet, but we are working the issue of indoor ranges. We'll probably have something in a day or two, probably around Monday or Tuesday, we'll have something. So let's contact the governor. And a lot of people go, oh, well, he won't. Look, whether you think he'll listen or not, it doesn't. There's nothing to lose by having thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And pointing out that these ranges, even police they didn't exempt police. So nobody's getting any training on indoor ranges. So, but anyhow, right now there's no immediate action items. There will be, because we're going to be active. As I said earlier, we're going to be going around the state. We're going to be taking advantage of the sanctuaries, and we're going to be doing what you guys are doing out west there, across the state, where these sanctuaries are going to have them do a resolution or do an ordinance that says we're not passing any more gun control. We're not going to do it. That's going to be one of our next moves, getting that done, and that will then protect us from having all this wild gun control all across the state. And then now we can this allows us to actually have teeth in the sanctuary movement. We were told, oh, there's no teeth. Before there wasn't, but now there is, because we can defeat it by not doing anything with it. So that'll be an action item coming up.
And I'm going to back up just a moment, because you talked about that, Philip. Ed, we were talking backstage beforehand. Is there anything that you can maybe share with us a little bit about your experience in relation to those firearms and the ranges? Yeah. Governor Northam's executive order was not thought out at all, to the point that, and I'm very active within the Department of Criminal Justice Services, and I've got about 28 years in the private security business. The department issued guidance today basically stating that all expirations are on hold. If you are due to expire, say in the next 30, 60, 90 days, not to concern yourself until further notice, because with the governor's order, no one can do the training. An armed security officer must requalify on a certified range with a certified instructor. All the ranges are closed. The only outdoor ranges, a handful of outdoor ranges are out there where you can actually shoot the DCJS requirements that are DCJS certified, are ranges run and owned by law enforcement. So the private security industry, which by the way is some 48,000 registrants across the Commonwealth, is right now in turmoil, because we cannot go do what we're required to do to maintain our professional credentials. Fortunately, somebody at the department was smart enough to issue guidance to say, hey, we're okay. We're going to indefinitely extend your credentials until you get further guidance from us. And I found it very interesting. I happened to think of that today, and was going to reach out to my contacts at the department when I got the directives from them, because I'm on their listserv.
Let me throw this in real quick too. The other thing to ask the governor about, based on a part of the same conversation, is we shouldn't get rid of online training now. He's got a bill, if he vetoes it, will keep our online training. This is exactly why you need online training. Not only people that in an emergency need to get training quickly because they're in an immediate threat and they need to get their permit, but situations like this, we got social distancing. So at least people can go online and get their training.
Yeah.
And people what I found with gun owners, they're very responsible. If the training they get online, they don't feel is sufficient, they'll go take a course on top of that, but they want to get their permit rolling.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's another thought for people to contact the governor.
Well, and I want to throw one thing out there, Phil, because it's a little bit of a flip side about what you talked about. But, even when it's interesting, because when I talk to some people and they talk about, private citizens having firearms, and the same gentleman I referred to earlier in Scott County, he said that there's a class that you have to take before you have a firearm. And it surface that makes sense. And this is where things get a little bit edgy for some people. Maybe even you all might challenge me a little bit on this. But, the thing with my people is, listen, having a firearm does not hurt anybody. Now, if I'm irresponsible with that firearm, then I'm accountable, and injure someone else, then I should be held accountable. And the reason I bring that up, there was a couple of friends of mine that were like grandparents to me, Etzel and Arbutus Hilton. And I know later in their years, Etzel outsurvived his wife by just a couple of months, but they were two individuals that, he was 94 and she was, I believe, 84 or 85 when she passed away. But neither one of them were able to go out and take a class somewhere, right? He was a World War II veteran. These people grew up many, many years ago, literally every day getting their food out, shooting it out of trees or out of the field, okay? And the idea that, some new generation is coming up and saying, well, they can't have a firearm unless they go take a class. They don't understand that, and particularly in rural areas, that class may be an hour and a half away. And for an elderly person, that means they've got to think about how much oxygen in their tank they've got to take with them. How can they get someone to give them a ride because, they no longer can drive because their glasses have restrictions. They can't drive. We can go on and on and on. And the thing I tell people is, listen, this is a freedom. It's about individual liberties. Would we ever look at someone and say, listen, the next paper that you write, when you write another article, it can only have 12 words in it. That's all you're allowed. 12 words at a time. And no more than 2 pages per month. It's ridiculous when you take some of the logic and try to apply it to our other rights.
Well, look at open carry. You can open carry a gun with no training. And what's the difference between open and concealed? Putting on a coat. Now suddenly, oh my God! Now we've got to have training. We got to have a permit. We got to do a background check just to put on a coat. Where did that come from? By the way, for 2 years, Virginia did not require training. It was in the late 90s, I think. For 2 years, we got rid of it. Never had a problem. Yeah. But people still got the training. In fact, one of the biggest classes I had was in a jurisdiction that didn't require training. We're responsible people. It's really nothing to worry about. If people don't know what they're doing, they're going to go get that help, whether they have to do it or not.
Yes. Well, and I see Ron Blackwell made a comment here. Virginia ABC stores are essential. But to your point, Ed, it's interesting that, like you said, think about the impact this is having on law enforcement and their ability to retrain and train regularly. So apparently, I guess in Northam's and other people's eyes, alcohol is more important than the ability for us as not only citizens to train, but also for our law enforcement officers and others to train as well. So Josh or Travis, do you guys, as we're kind of wrapping it down here, Josh, Travis, do y'all have any closing comments from Wise County?
You go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, real quick, Jeff. The reason why I think they're keeping ABC stores open is because if you look at the revenue that the Commonwealth of Virginia brought in from the ABC stores was in the billions. So, what was it, $1.2 billion they brought in last year from, on their budget. So, of course, it's going to be essential. But, I want everybody to know that, like we talked about earlier, we cannot stop. I noticed you brought the stickers up there for Wise County. As you can see what we're doing for our businesses in Wise County. Our Patriots group is endorsing businesses here locally in Wise County. They get a free sticker. All they got to do is contact me on our page, the Wise County 2A supporters page, and we will take them a sticker for free. We want people in our community to support these businesses that this business is a big 2A supporter. We've actually had some out today, and they've put them on their front door, which has been really good. But again, we're going to have to deal with Mr. Dick Sazal. We're going to have to deal again with Mr. Mark Levine. We're going to have to deal again with Mr. Dan Helmer. Dan Helmer's bills are still in committee. All this stuff is still going to be coming out. And Philip, you may be able to touch on this. We talked about Dan Helmer had, was it Bill 567 or 568, talking about where if you have a firearm, it's got to be in a lockbox in your car away from your person. So, that's stuff that's still out there. So, but lastly, we're supposed to have Amanda Chase coming down on May the 12th. We don't know how this is going to go with the COVID-19. Philip, if you'd like to come down, we would love to invite you as well. We'd like to have you here, and that would be great. Mr. Tim Anderson's supposed to be coming with Amanda. So we're going to have it at the Convocation Center in Wise at the UVA Wise is what we're looking at. So, that place holds 4,500 people. So we're wanting to fill it up. So we need to get the word out. But, tell people to get out and vote. The only way, folks, that this is going to change, and any of this is going to change, period, is people getting out and vote. We cannot have the lazy attitude and expect everybody else to do it for us. And one of the things I've noticed too, I go to several meetings here in Wise County. People need to get educated on these bills.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when you bring these bills up, they're like, no way. I didn't know that was going on. Get educated. We need to tell them not only to vote, but get educated with the bills. That way they can see what's going on, where it's going in committee. So, that would save us a lot of time, because it's a headache when we try to explain all these bills, where they go. And I don't mind doing it, and all of us don't mind doing it. But, we need to get people educated too. Education is a key to everything and getting people out.
Yeah, Travis, send me an email when you've got details, dates and all that. President@VCDL.org.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, and just to Travis, just to echo a little about what you talked about there, with being educated on your elected representatives, right? So Amanda Chase is one. We've got Daniel Gade, who's running for U.S. Senate to unseat Mark Warner, a large pro Second Amendment, and there may be others that come out. But the point of it is people need to understand what your representatives stand for. What do they run for? We actually got to interview Amanda Chase here. It was one of our last couple of shows. We had her on for about an hour and a half. It was only slated for an hour also. It was a great conversation. But we talked a whole lot about a lot of different topics, but we talked strongly about the Second Amendment as well. So I certainly know we will continue. We'll help you promote that as well in Scott County. And again, venues like this, hopefully this is something useful. We can get that 4,500 folks to show up. It'd be great.
Well, Jeff, if you don't mind me interjecting real quick, one last thing.
Yeah.
When you talk about elected officials, I don't care if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican or you're independent. I do not care. This is the way I look at it. I ask them to explain to me their process on what the Second Amendment is. Okay. A lot of them forget to put in there shall not be infringed. And you need to ask them that and say, okay, you explain to me then, because I said, so you're telling me we should have some type of control. So they'll say, yeah, I think people should be able to keep them right to bear arms, but they'll leave the part out shall not be infringed. So be very careful with that. Politicians love to play that game. They're very sneaky, and I've seen it on both sides of the field. And, I don't care who they are. Now, these counties that have these Second Amendment, sanctuaries, hold your elected officials, hold the fire to their feet, and make them accountable, because if they're doing it for votes, we're going to vote them out, plain and simple, because they need to act upon it, and they need to stand by their sheriffs and their Commonwealth attorneys if they're not going to enforce these unconstitutional laws. So plain and simple.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a great point. And like you said, by the way, it's all about vigilance, because not only is Ed Levine and the others that are pushing these bills going to be back, keep in mind, 961 was not shut down. It was tabled, right? It was tabled for a year. That's very different than it was actually rejected. So there's going to be other 961s. This is, as Philip and everybody else is saying, this is going to be an ongoing battle. So Larry, I saw that there was a comment that came through there in our private chat. So I'm going to let you speak to that as well, because I believe that's from Russell County. So Larry, any closing comments you want to make?
Yeah, I just was given the message, remind everyone that we're going to have a concealed weapons training class. It's been sponsored by the Russell County Republican Committee for bringing attorney Tim Anderson down from Virginia Beach. This should be April 25th. If the COBA virus doesn't keep us, if the restrictions lifted, it's going to be based on the Utah non-resident and Virginia resident training. So that should open up a lot of doors for a lot of people. But from a standpoint beyond that, but and it should be, we'll get that listed on my pages, and we'll get that put on the notice out so people can know this coming. But one last comment is get involved. That's kind of like the real estate agent, land. It's your location, but we have to get involved. Get your wife, get your husband, get your brother, your son, your daughters, your grandchildren. Get everyone involved. I don't care what age they are. I want them involved. We need to train the young ones. We need to train the older people. We all have to get involved with the government, involved with the Second Amendment, involved with living. We have to become a community of tribes working together to bring back our freedom that we have given up over the years. And I blame myself for not being more involved and active. I'm asking everyone hearing my voice, please get involved. There's something everyone can contribute. We all can do. We can share. We can learn. We have to get involved.
Absolutely. And I'm going to echo that, Larry, just a little bit. Not only is it getting involved, it's interesting because the way we're going to take this back is going to be at the voting booth. So one thing that we're also doing in Scott County, and I would encourage everyone to do, the one action that we can all be working on right now, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, talk to your family, find out if they're registered to vote. If they're not registered to vote, take them, help them get registered to vote. So that is an action item what we can be doing right now so that come November, when it comes time to go back to the booth, they're not struggling and maybe not getting that done before the time to vote comes. So talk to folks, keep the word out, educate people, spread the word, get people involved. I want to call out one comment here. So I believe this is, again, probably Ed making a comment, and I'm going to share my screen because he's talking about the VCDL legislative tracker. I'm not sure if the comments are allowing him to share that link, but I've got it pulled up here. So vcdl.org/2020-LEG, that's a capital L, EG-tracking. If you do a Google search, I'll just back up a second. Google search VCDL legislation tracker. And that first link, I believe, Ed or Phil, can you clarify for me, is this the correct one he's probably referring to?
Yeah, that's the correct one. And you can go to it on our website, vcdl.org. At the top, you'll see, on our main page, you'll see the link to that. Right there on the main page, right next to the Capitol building, you'll see that link right there. Yep.
Perfect. So I just want to call that out. I'm going to try to paste that link in here and see if that'll allow me. I'm not sure if it's not allowing comments. I'm hitting go there. We'll see if it goes. Yes, it did. It posted the link. So it's also in the comments there for folks if you can't see that. But I wanted to call that out. But again, registering to vote, and I've told people when it comes time to vote, dig down deep, find out whatever it is to get that passion, to get people involved, and challenge your neighbors, challenge people in your workplace, make it a fun challenge. Hey, who can vote first? Let's get out here, let's go vote, and see who can get there first. So, guys, we're at an hour and a half. I just want to say thank you to every single one of y'all. This has been a terrific show. I know we've had some technical problems, but I appreciate everyone hanging in there with us. I hope this is something that we can do from time to time. So to everybody that was in the call, I know you guys were in an email. If you ever need to use this resource or want to use this resource, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone else in this chat group to any of the other areas. This is something that's going to be a resource for everybody, and I hope it's something that everyone can use. So I want to thank you all again for your time. As we always do on our show, I'm going to close out in a word of prayer, but I'll just ask all the guests that are online with us, just stay online after we say goodbye to everybody, and we'll talk a little bit here in backstage about moving forward. But for our viewers, again, I just want to say I hope this is maybe the first in a series of updates that we may have from time to time. So I hope this is a resource you can check into. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button down below. You can like, you can share. If you want to know when we go live, click the notifications button, and that will let you know when we do go live. And folks, I'm going to encourage you to go out to all the other pages that we're talking about today. Go to vcdl.org. Check out Travis and Josh's group over at Virginia Gun Owners. Check out Ed's page up in Fairfax, Larry and the Russell Creed team. Guys, and if there's any other groups you know of, please reach out to us. I'm going to throw a banner here across the bottom if I can find the right one I want real quick. It is this one right here. You can email us at scottcountyvagunowners@gmail.com. if you're aware and you want to get involved, you may be sitting in a county right now and you're not sure who to reach out to. Reach out to us. We'll get you connected to the people in your county. Or if you need to be the one to start up a group, step forward, take that action. We'll help you out. We'll get you on venues like this. Guys, this is a grassroots. This is citizens helping citizens. Nobody here is a politician. Nobody here is running for president or anything like that. Guys, we are citizens just like you. If you're sitting in your easy chair and you're watching this, understand that every single one of us are just like you. We have an easy chair. When we get off here, we're going home, sitting with the family, watching some TV, whatever it may be. So, again, guys, thank you. Are there any really quick closing comments and any closing thoughts? Anybody?
I was just going to respond to Ron Blackwell, who was asking if emailing legislators really helps. Yes, it does.
Absolutely. Actually, and Philip, I know there were some comments. I forget exactly which bills that were on, but there were a number of bills that had some movement that were positive to the 2A amendment effort. And I know that some of those on the Senate side and on the House side, some of the delegates said specifically that the emails and the phone calls are what helped persuade them. So to echo your point and to answer Ron again, Philip, emails, phone calls, fax them. Guys, on lobby day, if you're passing through Richmond and it's on lobby day, or if it's not on lobby day, stop by and see your representatives. It does make a difference. It really does.
Yeah, and soon I'll do a complete update on all the bills, but I can tell everybody a whole bunch of gun control bills died that never even got a vote. And that was the pressure from you guys. We killed a whole bunch that never saw the light of day, and I'll document that later on.
Absolutely. And the message there is it's working, right, Philip? What we are doing is working. But it's only going to work if we keep doing it. Do not get complacent.
It's like a diet.
That's right.
Yeah, keep doing it.
It's a change in lifestyle. You know, the word I like to use, I always say remain vigilant, because to me, vigilance just carries with it a connotation of this is non-ending, and you are steadfast, you are steady, and you are on a course, and you shall not change from that course.
It's like your personal security. You don't go one day, I'm not going to bother locking doors. I'm not going to look to see if anybody's trying to get in the house. If I hear a broken window, I'm not going to bother because it's after 5 o'clock. We don't do that with security. It's 24/7. It's the same with our vigilance.
That's right.
I want to say one more thing. Like I say, for years I didn't get involved because I was afraid I would offend somebody. You know, I'm over being offending somebody. I needed what's right for my family and my future. That's what a lot of people say. Well, I don't want to get involved because it'll offend somebody. So what? You offend them. Stand up for what's right.
That's right.
I'll throw that in there too, Larry, because you're right. Because, I've been in positions, in the public all my life, and I was always, afraid of saying anything because people nowadays are so politically correct and try to hold everything against you, and it seems like when we went to Rally Day, the news media right after that thought every one of us were a bunch of radicals, a bunch of crazy people up there. Even people over in the UK said, look at all these gun-toting freaks and all that. They have no clue. There was some of the best people in the world up there of every color, every sex. I've seen people talking to each other. I've seen, whites, blacks, Muslims, everybody talking to each other, being friendly. And you know what? That's something that the media left out. They try to start a firestorm every day, but we saw the truth. We saw the facts. So
the other side doesn't even like each other. So we like each other.
That's right.
They don't even like themselves.
Yeah.
The Creed team invites everybody in the county. I don't care where you're from, what your background is, your color, your sex. But we want everybody involved. Age makes no difference. We want everyone involved.
Yeah. Well, and I want to just echo this point too. One of the things that we've talked about here in Scott County, and as we broaden this out to regions and across everywhere, and as to what to just Travis and Philip were talking about, this is one of those things that you've got to be willing to sometimes set aside your differences. If the 6 of us sat here and talked enough, we're going to find something we disagree on, right? Absolutely. You cannot get any 2 people that will agree on everything. And I say that because as you have this conversation, there's an old saying about setting aside your differences and working on those common interests. And this is one of those topics where it's in the common interest for everybody. Even if, and I tell people, people come to me and they say, well, I don't want a firearm and I'm intimidated by them and I'm scared. And I say, listen, I understand that and I respect that. I respect your right to choose that you don't want to do this. All I'm asking is for the equal respect and treatment to let me choose how I want to exercise my freedom and my rights.
Or
And
Jeff,
so
give them our version of cocaine. Take them to the range and let them shoot.
that's absolutely it. Yes, and that's a standing offer I've made to many people. Again, that's part of this education, right? We've one of the series I've wanted to start another series on here where we actually go out to the range and do a little bit of a live show and demonstrate some firearms and just have show people that shooting's fun. It's actually a very good practice. My children at a very, very young age got them involved. People think that children can't be around firearms. I'll tell you right now, when my kids see someone on a TV show not practicing muzzle safety, right? For instance, they look at me like, "Daddy, did you just see what that guy just did?" And they know that. And to me, one of the worst things you can do with your children is not address their curiosity, right? You resolve that curiosity. I've told my kids, anytime you want to shoot, let's get it. We'll go shoot, right? And now when we have firearms, they don't even think a thing about it. And furthermore, if they picked one up, I know they handle it safely because I'm at the range sometimes when they do pick them up, and we do firearms practice. But the self-confidence that comes from that, the accountability, the matureness that comes through marksmanship and practicing with firearms, it's just undeniable. I can go on and on and on about that. So,
one comment about firearms, a little story. There's a lady in our community, and she said, "I'm scared to death of guns. I'm frightened of guns, and anybody carries guns just scare me to death. I'm worried about that." And I asked her, I said, "Do I frighten you?" She says, "No." I said, "You know I'll carry it?" "No, I don't know you carry it." I said, "That's the example.
Yeah,
good people is not going to frighten you, not going to scare you."
Absolutely. Josh, you had something you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to say one quick thing here, and it just kind of reminded me with the rally day and everything. If you go and look back at all the pictures, like you said, there are peoples of every walk of life there, every color, every creed, and a lot of them. It made me happy because I'm not trying to offend anybody in here, but I'd probably say I'm the youngest one in here as a millennial. I hate calling myself a millennial, but I am. And you go out there and you've seen all those younger people that they were so excited to be there. They were proud to be there to fight for their rights, and it made you feel good because you see a lot of the younger generation. You think they don't care. Well, I'm here to say personally, we do. It's just getting them to get motivated enough to go to the polls and vote. I know this is beating a dead horse, but you got to vote. I would much rather do it by a ballot than a bullet because it's going to be a lot easier. Just for an example, my fiance who's sitting over here across the desk from me, I got her into firearms. It was one of those common interests that she likes to go out shooting now, and I would wager to bet she's probably a better shot than me now. I mean, it was honestly, she's quick, she's good, and now I have peace of mind because we're engaged. We're still not living together. We're renovating a house right now, and I know that I feel confident enough that if somebody, God forbid, was to ever break into their house, she is going to be the one that protects the family. And I mean, I feel really bad for anybody that wants to, try to break into that house and do anything because she was taught responsibly. She was taught well. She's got amazing trigger discipline. She's got amazing discipline. Altogether, when she's over here, her head's getting this big now. So, but it gives me peace of mind knowing that I'm not living there yet, but I know she's going to have her first line of defense, which is herself. And
Yeah.
I stress this to anybody, gun owners. I think the first ones, the top priority, women, because I'm a big dude. I'm 6 foot 340. Most times I'm going to be able to handle myself. I've been in law enforcement. I mean, a lot of other women. Most women aren't 6 foot and 340, and if they are, they probably need to go take a drug test. But if you get out here and you're walking down the street by yourself, you get mugged, you don't have a firearm, you're probably it's probably not going to end well for you. But if you have that equalizer, I mean, a 5'2", buck 20 woman can turn into two big guys any day. And I'm, like the Moms Demand Action Group, they don't see that. They don't actually care about a woman's rights. It makes me sick. And I think that every woman, every man, should have the right to defend herself, especially women. I mean, they're at a disadvantage. So that's all I really got with it. So I appreciate it.
Well, and I'll just, you talk about the great equalizer, the old saying that, God made man, but Colt made them equal. So, Colt, Ruger, Palmetto State Armory, we could go on and on and on. They all are the great equalizer. And I agree with you, Josh. So thank you for that. Guys, again, thank you all for coming on. I'm going to close this out in a word of prayer just real quickly for all of our viewers. We always close the show out with a word of prayer. So we're going to go ahead and just go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I just want to thank you, Lord, for this day, and thank you, Lord, for this technology, Lord, and this opportunity to come together, God, and just try to give a message, Lord, to our fellow citizens and our viewers, Lord, and whoever ever sees this video, wherever it may be, whether they watched it live or they watch it recorded later. Father, I just ask, Lord, that you bless those individuals, Lord, open their hearts and their minds, Lord. If they disagree with the message we're saying, Lord, let them understand that, Lord, God, these are rights that you gave for us. These are our God-given rights. They are unalienable from us. Lord, this is your desire for us. And Father, I just ask that you just bless everyone that watches this. Lord, bless our guests. Lord, bless our effort. If that be your will, then Lord, that's what we want to be done. And Father, just ask that you'd watch over all those that are sick and afflicted, Lord. Lord, those that are lost that may not know you, they come to know you. Father, we know this with this COVID-19 that's going around. Lord, just regardless of how we feel about it, Lord, the reality of it is people are dying from it, Father. At the end of the day, people are scared. And Lord, I just ask that you just keep everyone safe as can possibly be. Let people use wise judgment. And Lord, I reference Corinthians so much, but as you say in Corinthians, let charity be the guide. Lord, let love be what guides our actions. Even if we disagree with somebody, Father, let us just look the other way and walk on past if we disagree and do what we can to respect one another. And Lord, just try to do what we can to make this world a better place and lead and guide and love one another, and just ask that everything that we do always be something to represent you well. All these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys, again, I'm just going to ask you to hold on just for a few minutes, but at this point in time, guys, that concludes the show. I want to thank all of our panel members again. And again, I hope this is this is a first in a series. We can have more of these down the road and hopefully continue to grow out to other counties as well. So again, Philip, Ed, Travis, Josh, Larry, guys, thank you so very much. I really appreciate it tonight. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.